Peace and love. There is a topic that I have been wanting to talk about for a while, and I feel like I'm in a really great place to be able to finally release this and to continue to work on this in any which shape or form it may show up. And what it is addiction. I would like to start off by speaking on substances outside of ourselves, especially popular substances that are looked upon as a norm in our society to be addicted to. Oh, I actually don't want to do that. To be addicted to, that are looked at as such it is looked at as such of a norm that it is not always called addiction. It is not always looked upon from that perspective. However, when we take a deeper look at ourselves and our actions and how we react when we don't have these substances outside of ourselves, then we realize that it indeed is a type of addiction. That can be in the form of substance abuse. It can be in the form of sex. It can be in the form of many different things. So before getting into that, I would like to start off with my story. So back in July of the year 2021, I was hospitalized for 5 days. In this hospitalization, I was able to take a look at a lot of the choices that I was making and a lot of the imbalances that was taking place in my life. And what that connection was, as far as me being hospitalized, was because I was over drinking. I was drinking way too much. And that ended up manifesting into dis-ease within my liver. I was told at 26 years old that I essentially probably needed a transplant when it comes to my liver. And what led me to the hospital was that my stomach, I'm a slim girl, my stomach had literally, like, it was so bloated to the point where, like, I looked like I was pregnant. And then also my legs began to puff up with enema. I always get confused with those words, edema and enema. So I think it's enema. It's like one letter, but essentially my legs, they were filled with liquid. It was filled with water, and then my stomach was like bloated out crazy, right? So it actually started with me going to the hospital and being like, what the F? Mind you, deep down, it's like I knew drinking had to be something connected with it. At the time, specifically what I was drinking was those Lime-A-Ritas, aka thought juices. And if you know what a Lime-A-Rita is, it's a carbonated, sweet, alcoholic drink. It's probably like, I don't know, like 8%, 6%, some ish like that. But the fact is, alcohol is already like a bunch of sugar. And then the Lime-A-Rita was like a flavored drink, so it was even more sugar. And then on top of that, carbonation. So it was a lot of acid. It was a lot of buildup. These bugs. It was a lot of buildup in my body. And what happened was I actually went to the doctor. That's what happened. I went to the doctor and I showed them my stomach, and literally the doctor said, she's like, honestly, like, I believe she did some tests. Like, at the same time, but she told me with her, she basically said, like, I would recommend you to check yourself into a hospital because the way that you're bloating up, and it just seems very worrisome, I guess to say. She basically was like, I recommend you go and you check yourself into a hospital because it's not something that I can tell you right now, and I wouldn't want you to wait, essentially. So when I heard this, I was freaking out. I called my aunt and I was just freaking out. I called my mom after, but yeah, I was just like so emotional because I'm like, check myself into the hospital, what? Like, I didn't realize that it was actually that serious. So I did what I was told, even though I truly didn't want to. I've never spent time in the hospital like for multiple days or anything like that. For the most part in my life, I've been pretty healthy, and like outside of, I guess, me coming out my mom's womb, I don't have any experience having hospital visits and being there overnight. The one time I'm like hospital visit, I'm like, when I was younger, I was like spinning around in a circle and my cousin stopped and I didn't stop. I kept playing, and then my ear, like I ran into this like the edge of a computer desk, and I didn't even get stitches. They called it like some glue thing. Like to this day, I still don't know what it is, but they called it glue to me because I was a young girl. So that was my experience in a hospital, but it was never overnight. Anywho, so I was really panicked at this time. Went to the hospital and they just began doing a bunch of tests on me. And literally I had to stay overnight, which was new for me. It was a very scary time. At the time, the partner that I had was literally away, and they were like never really away, but just so happened at this time it seemed like I had to deal with this, like kind of like myself, because I was in somewhat of a dependent relationship. All right, I'm gonna need this bug to chill because it just jumped at me. All right, yo, I love the bugs, but like this homie just jumped at me because I was telling him to move and to move that way. So he said, like, he literally jumped at me, like, real talk, you need to chill. I'm making a video talk about something really important, yo. Alright, so essentially, in those days of me being hospitalized, they were doing many different tests on me. They kept asking about my drinking. I mean, I was honest with them, and it happened to be summertime, so I found myself like, even just me as like an entertainer and like always at events, I'm always like performing or like curating an event or like curating space. So I was out and about a lot, and I did realize myself to be drinking a little bit more than normal at that time. But the truth is that by that time I was already like maybe 2.5+ years in with like me drinking those beers with my spliff, because I felt like even just me smoking my spliff alone wasn't enough. And it was like I wouldn't really drink to get drunk. It was more of a nice feeling, like kind of like this days. And to be quite honest, I've always been into like the supernatural world, so I was always like, I call it flying. Like I was flying and just tapping into shit that maybe likely it wasn't supposed to be tapping into. But I was also drinking in a like, honestly, like spiritual sense, because I was like, I would see things, I would get messages, and it just became an imbalance, and that showed in my body. So within those 5 days of me being hospitalized, I was able to do a lot of self-reflection. I was doing a lot of crying, and I had realized that this drinking thing, something that I had never even really I need him to chill. Something that I had never really, my man's hops way too, my man's hops, he's wildin', okay? Need him to chill. Alright, so, it's one of those black and, if you ever seen these bugs, they're called, I think it's something called lantern bugs or something, and they're like black and they have white dots on them. But when I tell you my man's jumps mad, like you're wildin', you're bugging, I'm talking about something. Okay, so within that time frame of me being hospitalized, the doctors were doing many different tests. I know now that it was more than just like drinking, I would say. It was just like a mix of all of those different things. Like I said, the sugar, the carbonation, the salt, how my body was intaking it. And then in addition to that, so in addition to that, they basically, so they did tests on my liver, okay, and I ended up being diagnosed with liver cirrhosis. And I at first did not know what that was. And when I looked it up and just learned more about it, like more than just inflammation within the liver, it was, if you look up the disease, it is something that is promoted as uncurable. It's said that it's like permanent damage to the liver and things of that nature. Like I said, the doctors were like talking about a transplant, and I just felt so powerless. And like I was already like at the time plant-based and doing all of these other things in my life, like to optimize my health, and that was like the one thing that I just was like holding on to, essentially. I mean, I was smoking weed as well, but even just, I feel like I never really needed to smoke a bunch of weed, but it's like this mix of me drinking and smoking, and it's like I would smoke more because I was drinking, because I would never want to drink and not have weed. Like I would have weed and not drink, but I would never like drink and not have weed, or I would just be fucking annoyed. Because it was like drinking kind of brings this like airy type of feeling, right? This ether shit. And then smoking weed, especially because I smoked with grabba, it would bring like a grounded feeling. So I'm like consistently like that. So like just trying to balance myself out, and essentially it was just a lot of suppression. And I had done it for a while where it didn't seem that way. So I actually want to talk about how I started drinking. And it started off so innocently, I would say, because when I was younger and I would like taste liquor and things of that nature, I used to think it was so disgusting. And I was so confused as to why people drank. And I'm like, why do people drink this thing that tastes nasty, and if you drink too much of it, it makes your head hurt? I'm like, this don't make no sense. And fast forward, I ended up, I had this friend, and it was like a summertime, and then we started drinking like Long Island iced teas. And I don't mean Long Island iced teas, the one that's like sold at the bar with all of the liquors in it. I mean like the sweet one that's at like $5 at the liquor store, that literally tastes like a sweet, like a liquorified iced tea, like iced tea that we drink with lemon and thing there, and it just had liquor in it. So it started off like drinking that, right? And then it was like I started to realize how, like at the time I would hang out with friends, like I always was working, and honestly at the time I would hang out with friends that like they were like not open to going places, or / didn't have the money to go to places. So it's like drinking would be the last resort, because we always somehow was able to put together up to $20 to $50 to get Hennessy or to get Long Island in a spliff, and we'll just chill in a crib, and it just became a thing to do. And I remember I started drinking that Long Island iced tea that tasted good to me, like it didn't taste like a nasty liquor to me, because I realized when I was drinking, it was this feeling of like I had a little bit more fun because I was drinking. Like it was like things would be funnier, things would be more like loopy and stuff. So it was like, even though we weren't going places, being under this influence just seemed fun. So I'm like, yo, this is like, I just feel lit right now, and I just like having fun. So like, I'm gonna just do this. And it became a habit. It literally became a habit. I think I just killed a bug. Whoops, my bad. It literally became a habit, and I didn't realize it became a habit because at first I didn't feel like I needed to drink. The same way, even like I started smoking, I'm like, I didn't feel like I needed to until it became such a habit that I'm doing it every day. And it's almost like, because of the people I was hanging around at the time, like I knew a lot of people that drank like Hennessy, like almost every day or every weekend, very frequently. And I was drinking this like beer liquor with like less than 10% alcohol. So for me, in comparison, it was like, well, I'm not that bad, they be drinking this. So it was like this comparison thing where it was like what I was doing was almost so normalized, and also it was compared to something more extreme that it seemed like what I was doing was okay. And I didn't realize the effect it had on me. And I mean, to be honest though, I want to talk about liquor and just my story, because I realized looking back that liquor always showed me that it was not for me. And the first instance of that is me losing my virginity. When I was 14, about to turn 15, always say that, but really I was like, what? So it was like, okay, my birthday is March 30th. And it was 14 in November, right? So like 5 months before my birthday. And I always kept saying, I was about to turn 15. No, I was 14. 14 years old. I ended up going with my best friend at the time to go see a boy that she liked. Then his friend had like a boy that liked me, but I did not like that boy. But I just kind of went with her as like her wing girl type of vibes. So that same night we ended up like drinking. Mind you, I did not drink. I was 14. Like I did not drink. Actually, that's the year I started smoking weed. So I was good with my spliff. But it just so happened like it was like kind of like we're all hanging out. They had this liquor. I'm be honest, I still don't remember what that liquor was, but I just remember it was some strong something, and it was brown. It was something that was brown and strong, and it wasn't Hennessy. I just know we was drinking some of that, like taking little sips and things. And she had went into the, can you please chill, please, bro, please? So, yo, I really do be working on not being scared of it. I just do not want this bug to jump at me like it did before, because that was not nice. That was not nice, bro. I'm gonna move my phone. I'm gonna move. So, essentially, it's bugging you to chill. So, essentially, she had went in, you know, at that time I was not sexually active. Like I just said, I was like a virgin. Yeah, so I was not sexually active, and more than that, I was not even really kissing guys. I was just like not about that life. I was scared of all of that because my mom just always told me don't get pregnant and all this, and I was scared of sex, okay? I was scared to even kiss a boy, like I said. I like kissed a boy around that time, but like it wasn't something I did a lot. And it wasn't like all that making out stuff. That was like, I was scared of that stuff, yo. Because I knew it could lead to sex, which I was like ultimately scared of. So I was not like that. I just always liked hearing the stories that my friends told me about sex and about their sexual experiences and stuff. I was just always like this curious child, unexperienced and all that. So essentially, I ended up, so she like went into the room with the guy that she liked, and they were doing whatever they were doing. So it left me like in the room with the guy that liked me. And like I said, I didn't find him to be attractive, to be quite honest. But by this time when we were in the room, I was like a little bit under the influence of the liquor, right? And I remember like sitting at the computer desk, and there was like a bed. And I'm like sitting at the computer desk, and I remember being like annoyed at first, because I'm like, yo, why she left me in a room with this annoying dude, son? Like, I was so mad. And then he's just like, you know, come sit on the bed. And I'm just like, yo, why am I here? So I remember being annoyed. But then I remember being like in my head, I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna just kiss him for fun. Like, literally, I remember thinking, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm here, he's there. I'm like, I'm gonna just kiss him for fun, yo. So I end up going on the bed to kiss him for fun. Specifically, I remember, I feel like I was wearing a yellow top, and I remember I was wearing like a jean skirt. Remember those like jean skirts? It was kind of like a mini skirt, but it wasn't that many, because like, yeah, my mom ain't play that, so like it wasn't that many, but it was a mini jean skirt. And I say that to say because it was a skirt. So I just know that, like I said, I'm a little under the influence. We start kissing and all that, and then all of a sudden it's like things happen so fast. All of a sudden we're kissing. All of a sudden my panties end up down. We're like on the bed, and his penis ends up inside of me, and then it's blood. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it happened so fast, yo, so fast. Then it was like, then I guess he sees the blood and he starts freaking out because he didn't know I was a virgin. And like, yo, it was like, yo, son, it was so crazy. And then it's like, then my best friend at the time came in with the other guy, and then they're just like trying to calm me down, because I think I was like crying and yeah, just like emotional. Then he's like, so everybody's drunk almost, like, basically. So he's like in his drunk state or whatever, and he's just like, oh, like, I can't deal with this, da da da. So he like fucking leaves, right? And I'm just there on the bed, like crying, embarrassed. Then I remember the guy that my friend talked to, honestly, he was so nice. Like, I remember he just was like, yo, it's okay, da da da, like, go clean yourself off. And like, he just was mad nice and supportive of that situation. I mean, I guess, like, excuse me. And so there was my virginity. And I remember my best friend at the time crying. And honestly though, she always was crying when we like drank. So like, yo, it was just crazy. But like, she was like crying, and she's like feeling so bad, like, I'm sorry. And honestly, I was there, and I feel like I was crying, but I feel like I wasn't like bawling. Like, it was more like of a feeling like of shock, and of like I just lost my fucking virginity, and I don't even kiss guys, bro. And I didn't even like him, bro. Like, it was crazy, and it happened so fast. Whew. So, with that story being said, that was the first reason, the first way even showing that liquor was never for me. Fast forward, I've definitely had sex with guys under the influence of liquor, being very impulsive. And then fast forward now at 26, having different experiences, like I said, whether it's having sex under the influence, or even getting into arguments, or getting really angry. Anger. So, you know, liver and anger is connected. It would be certain times where I would drink and I would get really angry. And I'm like trying to think of an experience right now, but no, it was just, I just used to get really angry at certain things, and it was just connected. So yeah, so fast forward, being in being in the hospital, and these doctors doing all these tests on me. Even though they had told me about me having cirrhosis, they obviously were seeing that it was other things happening with my body. Excuse me. And they were just trying to figure it out. And they started bringing up like my race, talking about Caribbean people and black people and percentages and statistics about having certain things. And it was just a very discouraging time, y'all. Especially like they literally had brought people in from other places. They're like, yeah, this doctor is from another branch. We brought him in because he's like a liver specialist. And it was so much. It was so much, y'all. So much. So emotional. So yeah, I felt like I was gonna die. And you know, I'm being real about that. I actually want to really share that. Like, I literally felt like, yeah, like this transplant thing, I'm like, I don't want to have a transplant. Like, I didn't even know about anything about transplants. And then yeah, I couldn't believe that me versus all of the people and alcoholics that I would say that I seen in my life drinking this heavy liquor and drinking these other things, that me drinking these beers and things of that nature, how I could get so sick and how this could happen to me. And I was outside of that on such a healthy like lifestyle and path, and I'm like, well, why this happened to me? So I was just really sad and depressed. And I didn't tell my mom or my dad for a while. Well, I'm saying a while, like even about the transplant part. Like, I actually still haven't told them. They're gonna learn today because this is up now. But I started slowly but surely telling my mom a little bit about how, like, I told her it was connected to liquor, but I basically was scared to like talk about how deeply it was connected to liquor because I didn't want her to worry. And I didn't want that worry to like worry me even more. Because I feel like I've always had this like certain type of power that not everyone around me has, to like look at the good in situations and to like be triumphant amongst these situations. So for a while I dealt with it by myself, to be quite honest. And I see now how that manifested into just even more suppression and even more sadness because I felt so alone. And honestly, like I said, I just really felt like I was gonna die. And I didn't want to lose my life. So I stopped drinking. You know, I stopped drinking immediately. I stopped drinking, and I was just really, really sad. I was really sad for a while. And I came out of the hospital after the 5 days, which, by the way, they only had prescribed me with water pills. And I was just really sad. And I just was asking God, I'm like, you know, what do I do? Like, can you please, like, can you send me like healing? I don't want to die. I have so many different things that I want to do in my life. I want to sing. I want to perform. You know, I want to travel the world. So many different things. And I just asked God for like an answer. I asked God for healing, for a medicine, for something. So what ended up happening was I ended up having a dream. I ended up having a dream about Mexico. And I had never been to Mexico before. But I knew in the dream that this place was Mexico, and I knew I had to go. So what I did was I started searching online for a retreat in Mexico. And I found the perfect one. And it was the Gila Mystical Music Retreat for 10 days in Puerto Morelos, Mexico, in November of 2021. And in that retreat, it had vegan food, meditation, music master classes, a drum making class as my drum that I have to this day, and cacao ceremony and ayahuasca. And I wasn't familiar with ayahuasca. And it was interesting because even when it comes to ayahuasca, like, I chose last minute that I wanted to participate because I was a little scared about it, because I wasn't sure 100% what it was. And just to find out that that was the medicine that God sent me to help me heal myself. And in my experience with ayahuasca, it's a purgative. And when I had the experience with ayahuasca, I had a meditation that brought me to a memory from when I was a little girl. And the memory was when I was 4 years old, and I was touched as a little girl. And as I was seeing that experience, I was purging it out. So it's like I'm seeing the experience, and it's connecting to the reason why I've made the decisions that I have with my womb up until that point. And all of the clarity was coming, all of the messages was coming, and as those messages were coming, I was purging it out. I was purging it out. And at the time, I was with a woman, and I even purged that out. And I realized that me being with a woman was through trauma and being scared of men. And it was connected to lust. It was connecting to just dependency of wanting someone, feeling like I needed someone else. That touch, that love. So God sent me ayahuasca to help me begin my healing. And God sent me my drum, a medicine drum, to help me release anxiety and fear and just to love myself more and to know my power. And and I want to release shame. I want to release shame from my sexual experiences. I want to release shame for my abuse to substances outside of myself. I want to release shame from my body. I want to release shame for my past. Because we go through these different things for a reason. And it brings strength. It brings, literally, I'm along my path right now and doing what I'm supposed to be doing in this life because of this experience. My drum has literally brought so much healing for self and others. I began using my drum as a part of my performances. I was already performing, but it just made it even more magical. And that's why my drum means so much to me.
because it was sent to me. And to make it with my own hands and my own energy, and to just pull on those strings, and just to really be able to put all of me into an instrument, and to be able to play that instrument, and it be my heartbeat, and it helps me ground, and it brought dancing to me. Dancing has been so healing for me, releasing so much tension, releasing anger, releasing suppression, releasing all of the guilt and the shame from the experiences that the first experience I had when it comes to my womb was taken from me. And it led to many other things that I felt like was me, and it wasn't me. But I'm grateful for these things that I went through, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I wouldn't change it for the world, because I feel so strong now. I feel so aligned, even when things get hard. I feel like I just know my purpose, and a part of it is healing and showing others that you can heal too, and showing others vulnerability, crying, and like just sharing in this way, because we're all going through something. And when you see me being bubbly and you see me smiling, it is because I'm the transmuter of these feelings. It is because I have felt pain. It is because I have experienced trauma so deep that now I'm able to be so happy because of it, and so grateful because of it. It's so strong. It's so ambitious and resilient because of it. And now, today is day 12 of me releasing weed. And this has been another journey of mine. And I'm learning grace with myself. I'm learning that I don't have to be perfect. But I'm learning that just integrity and being true and being honest and sharing these moments with others brings healing for self and others. And this is my mission. This is my purpose. This is my journey. Tapping into those childhood traumas, releasing them, and healing. And not to be here like I've healed myself, I'm this, I'm that, I'm perfect. No. To show you throughout the journey my healing. That's what led me to Africa, is me going to Mexico. That's what led me to all of these different beautiful experiences that I've been having, was that sickness, was that dis-ease. So no matter what it is that you're going through, you got this. You have the power to be able to flip it around. Use it to motivate you. I encourage you to be honest with yourself. And if there's something that you need to release, take steps to do so, no matter how small those steps may be. Take it a day at a time. If you want support, help, hit me up. Okay, I'll put my information. I want to create circles, healing circles of love, no matter where you are in the world, so that you know you're not alone. And if there's no one in your direct circle, know that I'm here. okay? And I will do my best to be here in every which way that I can and create that community for us. I love you.